Tyson Fury versus Dillian Whyte taking place on Saturday. The big one's happening. What are you man saying? Make sure you like the video, share the video, drop your comments in the comment section below. Let me see what you guys think about this fight. Listen, we don't used to get too many big heavyweight fights with the big names fighting so often. So listen, I'm looking forward to this one. The build-up's been a bit techie. You know, Dillian Whyte's wasn't at the original press conference. Obviously, wasn't at the public workout today. But all that counts is what happens in the ring. And we damn sure know that someone's getting knocked out. So make sure you guys drop your comments in the comment section. Let me see what you guys actually think about this fight. I'm going to be replying to all you man's comments. My take, this video, keys to victory. What are the keys to victory for Dillian Whyte to win this fight? What are the keys to victory for Tyson Fury to win this fight? Can Dillian Whyte get the rub of the green on the scorecards? Is that even possible? Or does Tyson Fury just have to, or does Whyte have to go in there, you know, searching, looking, or somehow get that left hook out the pocket and detonate it on Tyson Fury's chin and get him the hell out of there? Or is it simply going to be a Tyson Fury UD, Tyson Fury maybe split decision? Or is Tyson Fury going to, you know, do Deontay Wilder settings and knock Dillian Whyte out in late rounds? What do you guys think about this fight? So for me, keys to victory for Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte needs to keep the fight at close to medium range. He can't afford to be, you know, chilling on the outskirts of the fight, allowing Tyson Fury to dictate the terms of his jab, allowing Tyson Fury to be rotating around the ring, you know, using his, you know, the quicker feet. Like, Tyson Fury's not got the fastest feet in the heavyweight division, but if we're talking in comparison to Dillian Whyte, he's definitely got better footwork, you know, better balance, better footwork, better coordination. So, you know, if Dillian Whyte's going to allow this fight, you know, to sit at long range, it's going to be a long night for Dillian Whyte. So he needs to keep the fight close to medium range, you know, so he can, you know, get close enough, you know, to break Tyson Fury down to the body, you know, find those counter right hands or counter right hands down the pipe, or left hooks to the body, left hooks upstairs, you know. And for him to even get to work, he needs to be in close to medium range, you know, especially be able to work on the inside, you know. And that is highly indicative of how is Tyson Fury going to approach the fight as well. Because if Tyson Fury approaches the fight the way he approached it when he fought Deontay Wilder, he's going to give Dillian Whyte a lot more opportunities, you know, to be able to, you know, have success at medium to close range. If he fights anything more like the Klitschko-esque kind of fight, where he was more, not I want to say totally defensive, but he was more defensively sound and more defensively aware in terms of, you know, keeping the distance, you know, it's going to be quite difficult for Dillian Whyte. So he needs to pretty much work to keep the fight on Tyson Fury's chest. If he can do that, he's giving himself the best opportunities in order to defeat Tyson Fury. Another thing Dillian Whyte needs to do, you know, he needs to avoid, you know, it's weird that Dillian Whyte has a tendency for this where he throws his shots, but it's a bit too is out of range. It's not, again, it's a range thing. He throws his shots out of range. He's been caught, you know, throwing shots way out of range. He fought, what's his name? Joseph Parker. At various points early in the fight, he was winging shots that was obviously not going to land. And if you fight a big guy like Tyson Fury, you don't need to be giving Tyson Fury, you know, unnecessary opportunities like that, especially now that he's training with Sugar Hill. And this isn't the Tyson Fury that seems to be, you know, the feather duster, pillow fists, you know, getting them cushions, slapping man with the cushions. Go ask Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury's hitting a lot harder than he has hit in the past. So Dillian Whyte needs to be very much aware of, you know, when to throw the shots, when not to throw the shots, when he's in range to do them. And again, highly indicative of him being much more aware of his range. Also, Dillian Whyte, another key to victory, his footwork needs to be a lot better than it normally is. Dillian Whyte's footwork, he tends to be sometimes quite flat-footed. He's never really on his toes. He's usually on his heels, then on his heels to the toes, on his heels to the toes. He's never really like on his toes, you know, like we're gonna find someone that is more on his toes. Like, obviously, Joseph Parker's on his toes. Who else is there? Obviously Usyk on his toes. Obviously, Dillian Whyte is a different fighter. He's not as athletically gifted as those fighters, but there's a base level of foot movement and of balance that you're gonna have to exhibit if you're gonna, you know, have effectiveness against Tyson Fury, because what Tyson Fury wants, and Tyson Fury said himself, is a stable, you know, open target Dillian Whyte. And I've said this on previous videos where I've said that Deontay Wilder will ice Dillian Whyte just because of the foot movement is not really there. The head movement is not the best, and it becomes quite difficult. And that's another thing, the head movement as well, because Tyson Fury, the reach advantage he's got over Dillian Whyte. Now, Dillian Whyte's got a good reach advantage himself. Like, it's very bizarre. Dillian Whyte's build, like 6'4". He doesn't look like he should really have the reach that he does. But I need to go check that reach out. But it's pretty good. But obviously, we know for a fact that Tyson Fury's got more reach advantage. Man's 6'9", for goodness sake. It's obvious as hell. So pretty much Dillian Whyte needs to, you know, be very, very aware of the range, be very aware overall of how he's not staying flat-footed during the fight, especially when it's getting mid to late rounds, because I highly suspect that in the beginning of the rounds, Dillian Whyte's going to be looking a lot more athletic, a lot more better in his movement. He's going to be much more aware. It's when you start getting into the mid to late rounds, you start to get a bit lazy, you know, and things might not start ticking over like as they were in the first fight, in the beginning of the fight. And then someone like Tyson Fury might be able to take advantage of that, peppering Dillian Whyte with the shots, peppering Dillian Whyte with the right hands, peppering Dillian Whyte with the hooks and the jab. And we've seen Deontay Wilder, who is quite durable in my opinion, taking right hands down the pipe from Tyson Fury and some swiping hooks. And we've seen the effect it has on Deontay Wilder. You know, he's not liking them at all. So Dillian Whyte needs to be on his toes, needs to be paying attention from start to finish. This ain't Tyson Fury's not the guy who can just take shots or come forward. Might end up getting knocked out by Tyson Fury in late rounds. So yeah, overall, keys to victory for Dillian Whyte. The foot movement's got to be on point. The head movement has got to be on point as well. That's something Deontay Wilder was barely able to do, and you could see to his detriment, taking unnecessary shots. And, you know, Tyson and Dillian Whyte, for me, keep the fight close to mid-range in order to break Tyson Fury down to the body, to slow him down, because Tyson Fury has been looking quite light, quite lean. So maybe he's looking for a bit more move. He can break Tyson Fury down to the body, keep him slower, slow him down for the mid to late rounds. Dillian Whyte's giving himself a much better opportunity. But if Dillian Whyte goes in there and the movement ain't there, he ain't broken Tyson Fury down, we might be looking at late stoppage or unanimous decision for Tyson Fury. And I don't see Dillian Whyte winning on the scorecards. So that's what I think Dillian Whyte has got to do. It's a tough fight. You know, most people are leaning heavily to Tyson Fury to beat him. But this is heavyweight boxing. Anything can happen. Anyone saying it's a foregone conclusion, you don't know crap about boxing. Bro, Andy Ruiz settings, anything can happen, man. But Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King himself, the big man, 6'9", Gypsy King. Fam, how does Tyson Fury win this fight? Tyson Fury can win this fight, you know, in multiple different ways. Because to be honest, as far as I'm concerned, he's got more in his arsenal over a Dillian Whyte. If Tyson Fury wants to box 12 rounds, that's something he could potentially do. If Tyson Fury wants to, you know, box fight, obviously he's boxing, and then obviously if he wants to scrap box, tie up, this is stuff Tyson Fury knows how to do, man. And frustrate his opponents. One thing Tyson Fury shouldn't be doing if he wants to be victorious is that I don't think he should be doing anything that resembles what he did in the second Deontay Wilder fight. If he comes all out, chilling in the fight, chilling in the mid to close range with Dillian Whyte, presenting unnecessary opportunities, there's only so many times man can get knocked down and be getting off the canvas. Because as far as I'm concerned, if he gets clipped by that big left hook at close to mid range by Dillian Whyte, listen, I back Dillian Whyte to try and get him the hell out of there, because there's only so many times, especially coming off that tough fight against Deontay Wilder in the third fight. Obviously, he beat Deontay Wilder, but if you're getting detonated on your temple like that by Wilder clean, you can see the ripple effect through man's body. and then you're gonna come again and fight Dillian Whyte, and then take a devastating left hook on your chin and talk about, oh, I'm getting off the gut. Man's gonna be knocked out. That's what's gonna happen to him, man. So Tyson Fury's keys to victory lies in, you know, keeping it long, boxing, relying on keeping it long, boxing, relying on Dillian Whyte, relying on Dillian Whyte, wasting his own energy with Dillian Whyte getting frustrated, and Dillian Whyte at some point having to take it to Tyson Fury. And then, you know, we've seen Dillian Whyte in when he fought Joseph Parker, how tired he got in the around maybe like round 9 to 12, how he began to look. And if Dillian Whyte starts to look anything like that against Tyson Fury is a very good chance Tyson Fury could get him out of there, especially the Tyson Fury we're seeing now with this power that he's got, you know, and the hooks and things like that, looking a lot better than he used to look in those days where he's hitting guys with shots and nothing's literally happening. So that is pretty much, you know, what Tyson Fury needs to do. Keep the fight medium to long range, preferably long range. Keep Dillian Whyte on the end of that jab. Land those counter lefts, land those counter rights. Obviously, Tyson Fury's not the best counter puncher, but they might be presenting themselves with Dillian Whyte starting to tie himself later on in the fight. You know, right hands down the pipe as well, tying up Dillian Whyte, leaning on Dillian Whyte, tire him out. And the more you tire him out, the more slower Dillian Whyte's going to get, and the more likely Tyson Fury's going to be able to get the stoppage, or make Dillian Whyte look not so slow and outbox him so much so that we're talking about a wide scorecard, 116, 112, and things like that in that sentence. And as far as we're concerned, on a BT scorecard, on a Frank Warren show, and the way things have been moving, they ain't gonna give Dillian Whyte much favors. So that's pretty much how I see it. Tyson Fury, if he wins the fight, we're talking about long range, or based off how Dillian Whyte is gonna be going and how he's feeling in the fight, if he's starting to slow down, it could be a potential late stoppage for Tyson Fury. So that's my little take on it, man. Little breakdown. I just thought, let me just drop this thing for today. Make sure you guys drop your comments in the comment section below. Let me see what you guys think about this fight. Do you think Dillian Whyte has a chance to win this fight, or will Tyson Fury just, you know, get the job done and get Dillian Whyte out of here? Because for me, if Dillian Whyte wins, it's only by knockout. Dillian Whyte, he ain't beating Tyson Fury on no scorecard unless Tyson Fury is absolutely out of there. Like, it's really looking poor, like AJ settings against Usyk that bad. Then the scorecards will be looking so bad that they can't even cheat. So that is how I see it. Tyson Fury winning this fight, you know, all he has to do, keep the fight long, land those you know, hard jabs, hard right hands down the pipe, hitting Dillian Whyte at will, especially if he begins to tire. And we're looking at a potential stoppage win for Tyson Fury. And another key caveat that some people haven't mentioned is the cut that Tyson Fury did get against Otto Wallin. And obviously they did some work on it, but we saw Vitaly Klitschko. I can't remember who Vitaly Klitschko fought. He fought, was it Lennox Lewis he fought? And then I think it was a brutal fight. I think it was Lennox, I can't remember somebody, but he fought, and then he had this terrible, awful eye injury. And then I think he went on and fought, who did he fight against? He fought this guy, not British fighter, what's his name? I can't remember his name, but he fought him, this guy. I need to go check BoxRec again. And then you can see the eye open again in the same spot, and this is a couple years after. So if, you know, Dillian Whyte is able to target Tyson Fury's eye there and potentially, you know, put Tyson Fury in a position where, you know, even the doctors are beginning to look at things, and Tyson Fury begins to be a bit difficult for him to cope in the fight. Maybe that could be an advantage for Dillian Whyte to beat Tyson Fury. But for me, very unlikely to happen. People did predict that for Deontay Wilder, saying that if Deontay Wilder targets Tyson Fury's eye because of the Otto Wallin fight, you know, that means he might be able to potentially get stoppage. It wasn't even a factor. So, I mean, Tyson Fury's movement and the way he knows how to defend and keep it might be a shot that never even lands. But let's see what happens, man. Drop your comments in the comment section below. Let me see what you guys are saying about this fight. Make sure you guys like my video, share my video, and do all that, spread that good stuff across the channel. Cool.